draft analyst, Scott Bischoff. What up, though, man?
Hi.
Let's get right into it. Scott, appreciate you for joining us as always. So the top 30 visits have been starting to roll out for the Lions. And before we get to one of them that has a lot of college football fans in this town very excited, Shemar Stewart was brought in for the Detroit Lions for a top 30 visit. They brought him into Detroit, sat him down, talked to him. He's not going to be there at 28, right?
I highly doubt it. But this is really going to be a wild draft from the standpoint of you have a couple of premium players, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Ashton Janty, and then after that, there are good players, but teams can get picky about certain things. I would think there's no way he's available there, but never say never.
Yeah, it's been my draft crush for the longest, and I think Brad bringing him in kind of cements that for me because we know the type of guys Brad draft, and they're usually really good fucking football players. But his teammate, man, you and I talked about him before. I've seen him mock draft to the Detroit Lions a few times now. Nick Scorton, I know when you and I talked about him, you kind of said think of him as a bigger Josh Pascal, but the more Josh Pascal wasn't a first-round pick. What is it that's different about him? Has anything changed for you since the Combine and him coming in a little 20 pounds lighter?
Yeah, so the thing that changed is, he was 280, 285-ish when we talked about that kind of stuff. So he played for 1 year at Texas A&M in a very, very difficult system for defensive ends to play in. It's the same system that Georgia deploys, so same kind of stuff, right? The DNs, a lot of times they have to play inside. They have to step to the B gap. Their job is to, first and foremost, spill runs to the outside. So they have to defend, gaps towards the ball, for lack of being able to describe it better. So he needed to bulk up. They asked him to bulk up at Texas A&M. But if you go back to his film when he played at Purdue, his pass rush, this is in 2023. If you look at his film in 2023, his pass rush win rate is significantly higher than it was last year. Yeah. And he did play lighter. He was probably in the 255, 260 range. And you can see it. He is more athletic. He's still not, crazy athletic though. So at pick 28, totally fine. If this is the player they want to pair with Hutchinson as a power defensive end, 6'3", he was 6'3", 257 pounds at the Combine, 33-inch arm. All that stuff's good. He plays with power. He's strong. He'll defend the run. He'll do all that stuff. He's just not a premier athlete. But this is pick 28, so it's not like we shouldn't be comparing him to Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
As an athlete, because Abdul Carter is probably going to go third in that range. You know what I mean? So pick 28 makes it a little different. But yeah, I think that his film this year at A&M, as opposed to what he looked like 2 years ago at Purdue, they're very different. They're different athletes being asked to do different things. His film at Purdue is, I think, what the Lions would deploy him like. And I like it a lot more than the A&M stuff, understanding that he is, I don't want to say limited athletically because that's a little bit disrespectful, but he is a little, if that makes sense.
Nah, I agree. I want to ask, I guess, one more about Shemar then, since your opinion kind of has changed a little bit on Nick. Has anything changed with you with Shemar Stewart? Is he still up there?
No. And it's the strangest thing. This is where we have to check our own bias, right? Like, I'm going to give Shemar Stewart lots of credit for not being crazy productive in A&M's system. He's got 4.5 sacks in his career in college, but I know he's really athletic, and he already defends the run at a very high level. I don't really have any worries about. I mean, if he's available at 28, you take him. I mean, dude, like, what? Wow. But I don't want to give the same sort of bump to Michael Williams, who played in the same defensive system. So I'm being a little hypocritical there, I guess. I just see one guy as being a premier premium athlete who is going to turn into a pretty dominant player, and already is as a player against the run. And I think the other guy is, I think Michael Williams is limited athletically, and it does prevent him from making plays that he could make. where I think Shamar just have to figure out. He's got to figure out a little bit of some false step stuff. There's a little bit to clean up there, but again, I think his upside, his ceiling as a player is huge. So yeah, I mean, nothing has changed with him. I was excited to see that he's in town, but I think it's really unrealistic to view him as attainable in this draft, because I think he'll be gone really early.
And we got a question in the chat for you from our guy, Tori LaFrance. And normally I'm not a fan of the French, but this is a good question. So,
Tori LaFrance, is he a biker?
LaFrance, I'm not sure. He might be a hockey player. I don't know. But he says, why is Kenneth Grant dropping down boards? And that's a good question, because I've been confused on that too. I see him falling into the second round in some mock drafts. Why?
I think there was a perception that he was going to test like the way, and I thought this too. He was going to test like Jordan Davis did. He didn't really test that way, and he didn't come in. I mean, he came in, he weighed kind of heavy, and some of the testing, and then the reality is when you watch him play, he's got pad level issues. He's tall. And there's a lot of times if he gets tired, he'll stand straight up. He's not necessarily playing with great leverage. I think he's a nose tackle. There's a lot of teams that have gotten away from from playing nose tackles as part of their primary base defense. Some of the defense, like Tampa Bay's got Vita Vea. Mm-hmm. They're not taking a guy in the first round with Vea on the field. The Giants run a 3-4 with a couple stand-up, edge players walked up, but they have Dexter Lawrence, so they're not doing it either. So I think there's a little bit of supply and demand with Grant, and a little bit of skepticism about, is this a guy that can stay in shape and keep bad weight off his body? And then what does it look like if he's not played next to a guy like Mason Graham? What does it look? I'm just giving you like some of the things I've heard as to why there's a little cooling off there. But I do think there's a supply and demand thing there, for sure.
And another guy, his former teammate, a guy that a lot of Lions fans are excited about, and the Lions themselves see to be excited about, because they brought him in for a top 30 visit. They brought him in a pre-draft visit, and they talked with him on their regional day, is Josiah Stewart. And I think he's mid-second round pick, I think, around there. They'd probably have to move up if they want to get him, but why are they targeting him so much compared to the other edges that we know they like? And would he be playing like Sam? Would he be Derek Barnes' backup, basically? Okay.
Yeah, he would be. I think he's – how do I say this without sounding like a complete tool? I don't know that I'm going to be able to figure that out in the time we have. I think he is a better football player than Derek Barnes in every way. Wow. So I think he's better in coverage than Derek Barnes is. I think he's a better pass rusher than Derek Barnes is. He may have the best bull rush in the entire draft. Just think about him from a leverage standpoint. He's a shade under 250 pounds, but he's 6'1", so he's up underneath offensive tackles immediately because he's short, and he's able to move them because he plays with such good leverage. The issue is that he's got short arms, and that he's going to get engulfed if you ask him to set the edge, as a run defender. Yeah. But as far as being physically ready to play right now, Josiah Stewart is ready to play right now. I think you nailed where he's going to go. I think he would require a bit of a trade up from pick 60. The Lions fans should be very, very excited if Josiah Stewart lands in Detroit. He is a really, really good football player who's physically ready to go right now. Really good football player.
Yeah, I think he's a dog. I'm not going to lie. His tape's really fun to watch.
Total dude.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I think they have to move up from 60. I've been paying attention to the guys I'm visiting with. Yeah. Not so many guys projected to be first-round picks. I think they might trade back, take a couple more swings in the second round.
Yeah, that's so we've been. I think that's the one thing that we talked about the longest is that the options that you may have at pick 28 might just feel gross when you get on the board for the Lions' particular needs. Like you don't want to overdraft a player at a certain position just because you have to have that player at that position. But some of the fallback plans, like Derek Harmon, is probably going to be gone. I don't know, based on some of the things I've heard them talk about, that they would really swing at the offensive line that early. So, maybe this is an opportunity for them to trade out of round one and grab a couple other pieces, on day two, or another piece on day two, somewhere between. My guess, I don't know what the price would be, but if they could get some ammo to package 60 and something else to come back up to the mid 40s to take a player that they really liked, on top of getting, say, pick 34 or 35, whatever it is. Yeah, I would like. I mean, if you got Scorton early in round two and then you moved up and you took Josiah Stewart, I think you've addressed the edge position really, really well, and that would be a very exciting, 2 days for Detroit.
Yeah, I would. Oh, I would love that. that would be amazing. And looking at that,
it's not going to happen, but we can talk about it. That's cool.
And I think if they, I don't see it happening, but if they stay put at 28, like I personally think they're going to move up and get their guy. The move back to get multiple guys in the second round is also looking like it makes a lot of sense to me too.
Yeah.
But staying at 28, if they're going to do that, I feel like that's saying we're going to get the best offensive guard on the board right now if they stay at 28. Who would that – there's talk of Gray Zabel. There's talk of maybe Booker falls. Who do you think that would be if they go offensive line in that first round?
Okay, so Gray Zabel is very interesting, but I think he needs to be played closer to the ball rather than further away. He is 6'6" and 310 plus pounds, and he's got really short arms. He's got 32-inch arms. He also has a tendency, and this is technical stuff, but he has a tendency not to punch with his hands, and he kind of wants to grab outside a defender's shoulder pads, so he gives up his chest all the time. So he gets moved, even at the lower level of competition that he plays at. He'll get walked back as a tackle, and in the NFL, with as big as defensive tackles are and as quick as they are, if he doesn't protect his chest, he is just going to get destroyed. So my guess is with Gray Zabel is the plan for him is for him to likely play center in the NFL in the future, and I don't know that you're picking a future center with the 28th pick, because I don't know that he can hold up as a guard. Maybe he can. I'm not really sure that he can. So I would be surprised if the Lions did do that, just based on what his film looks like and how easy it is for him to get moved, and at times how out of control he does play. Booker to me is a phone booth kind of run game mauler, but the problem there is I don't think he fits the Lions at all, because the Lions have gone to a heavy outside zone, not wide zone, but like a heavy outside zone usage team because of Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah. And Booker is not a player you can utilize that way. Now, if you want to pull him and you want to have him down block and all those things as a guard, yeah, he can do all that stuff, and he's powerful, and he's going to move bodies, going to do all that stuff. But the Lions' offense is predicated on getting their offensive linemen out wide into space at times with Gibbs and Montgomery, and I don't think he can do those kind of things. So I'm not sure he's perfectly suited for what Detroit is doing. To me, there's one player. It's Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. He's the guard that you would take at 28, but I don't think he'll be there at 28 because he's capable of doing it all.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one. I want to jump back to the defense side of the ball real quick because my guy Lucas over there on the other spot, we go back and forth because I'm a big Shamar guy. He says you can stay late and get this guy Jordan Birch in the second round. He's just as good, if not higher upside. I don't believe that'd be the case. I see a much older guy that's never really shined to that type of level of prospect. What is your take on Jordan Birch?
Birch is big. He's 6'4", 280, 200 and whatever pounds he is. 279 or something, 280, whatever it is. 33-inch arm. He is huge. And when you guys watch him next, every pass rush rep he takes, it's almost like there's a little trampoline effect that happens with him where he'll rock away from the line of scrimmage. His first move on let's say his foot that's up is to kind of rock backwards away from the ball and then to kind of spring forward. It's like he's trying to load up and go, but he's late. And it makes it a little easier for tackles to block him. But, he's a very powerful player. He can move people. He's got a little bit of bend to his game. He's got some ability to get the corner and that kind of stuff. It's just not a lot. But from a squeeze standpoint, from a power standpoint, he's got all that stuff that you could want. But that's a player. Birch is a guy I think that'll be around at pick 60, where I don't know. I mean, Shamar Stewart is a premium athlete. I don't think Birch is. But, I understand the concept. They're both big, huge guys who you're going to ask to set an edge, defend the run, and kind of be your closed defensive end mauler type. I view Shamar as much more athletic than just that, where Birch, I think, will only kind of be that at the NFL level. And again, I think Birch will be there at pick 60 if that's somebody they wanted to go to in round 2.
And we do have a little bit of breaking news here. It's from Ian Rappaport. It's just more top 30 visits being announced that happened. And the Lions met with the cornerback Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky. He's from Michigan. He ran a sub 340. It was a guy last year that had 5 interceptions, or 2 years ago, not last year. He was injured last year and didn't play in a lot of games. But 2 years ago, he had 5 interceptions on the season.
I think he's from West Bloomfield, so he was at their local pro day workout.
Mm-hmm. Where would he be? Where would you look at him in the draft? Because obviously he had a great season a couple years ago, but last year he got the injury.
I think there's a little off the field with him. I don't know what's happening there, but I think it's right in and around where the Lions are picking is where he'll go. But he's very small, but fast as could be. He could end up being in the range where the Lions are drafting to maybe 25 to 35 or 40 is about his range where he'll go.
Okay. No way they do that again, right? They're not going to use a first round pick on a cornerback again.
I might.
He's small. He's really small. I'd be surprised if they chose to do that. With Rakestraw coming back, with Arnold in year 2, with Rakestraw in year 2, expecting him to take a step, I would be surprised. I think they have more needs at safety than they do at corner.
I agree.
That's kind of a position where I think it's a little bit intriguing as to, what do they choose to do at the safety position, and do they hit that maybe in round 2 with like a Kevin Winston from Penn State kind of player.
Yeah.
Really interesting player. He's another guy that you got to go back 2 years to look at. But when you watch him on film, he's a really good football player.
Are they
the guys that visited so far? Jonas Sanker from Virginia. We'll get to show up the other guy. I found him. Jalen Reed from Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would like that a lot.
Andrew Makuba from Texas.
Jalen Reed, another Michigan guy.
Yeah, Detroit native.
Makuba is
Matata.
As dynamic a coverage safety as there is in this draft. Like, he is ridiculous. But that leads to a longer conversation about if you want to let Kirby Joseph walk and you don't want to pay him, and the Lions are going to have to make these kind of decisions in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Hurts my heart to hear it loud.
Right? I mean, it's. I'm sure it sucks to hear it, but like if your intention is to maybe let one of these guys go that you can't sign, Makuba would be a very dynamic replacement for Kirby Joseph very quickly as your robber free safety type, because he is so instinctive. He's just small. He's like 5'11" and 185. So you'd have to reconcile the idea that this dude's a missile and he wants to kill people. He wants to crush people, but he's small. But it's more about him in coverage. He's absurd. His instincts, his ability to make plays on the ball. He's as dynamic as there is in this class. He's just small. But it's not like you'd have to spend a premium pick to get him. I would love it if the Lions chose to do that, because you can't have too much coverage, too many good players in coverage. I would love it. He's a phenomenal player.
And then before I let you get going, man, I got to ask you, big game for the Red Wings tonight. I know you're a hockey guy. They've been teasing us by keeping themselves around it. What happens tonight for Detroit Red Wings versus Canadians?
I don't know.
We don't know what this
I
team's
hope
going to
they
give
win.
you.
You hope they win in regulation, kind of thing. But I don't have great vibes about the way they. I mean, obviously, you beat Carolina, you beat Florida, you come into this game kind of hot, but it kind of feels like a game that the goalie's going to have to steal one for you on the road. Huge game for Montreal. I mean, they beat Detroit and they kind of eliminate Detroit from consideration, right? And elevate themselves with a week and a half left. Huge game. I'm really excited to watch it. It'll be fun. It's gonna be a fun watch. It's just I don't have great vibes about it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I tried to wear the gear to get myself into it,
Yeah.
but
I saw him crying in his car when I pulled up today.
They're talented. They could surprise us.
hopefully
they got some talent.
maybe Suzuki will get food poisoning like
Yeah.
Bellinger did. You never
Maybe.
know. How about the Tigers? How you feeling about the Tigers start so far, huh?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about
The
everything
bats look
else.
good.
Yeah, it's all good.
But Scott, we appreciate you so much joining us as always, man. It's great
Thank
to have
you,
your
man.
insight. Tell the people where they could get your mock drafts, your breakdowns. I know you got a lot of stuff that you're diving into during the season.
Here,
Hell
there,
yeah.
whatever. It's good.
Scott, appreciate you so much.
I love you, Skip.
Anytime, guys.